She gave me one of those dramatic eye rolls. So what if I spent time with him? You're always working late anyway. I had just found his hoodie stuffed in the back of her closet when I said, yeah, I work late to build something real, not to stand by while you tear it down. She didn't say a word when I handed her the apartment lease with her name on it and walked out carrying my last box. I'm a builder. That's just who I am. And no, I don't mean swinging a hammer on a job site, though I've got nothing but respect for folks who do. I mean, I build from the ground up. I started at the bottom, mailroom guy, and climbed all the way to a senior analyst role. I scrimped and saved for 5 solid years, living cheap, beans and rice kind of cheap, until I had enough stashed away for a real future. I live by a simple rule. You don't get the life you dream about by wishing on stars. You get it by putting in the work, one painful, backbreaking brick at a time. Megan was supposed to be in this with me. I thought we were laying the same foundation. Turns out, she was just lounging in the house I was trying to build, annoyed by all the noise I made while building it. For a while, about 3 years, I thought it was working. I clocked in long hours, came home late most nights. I knew it was a grind, but it felt necessary. Every overtime shift, every weekend I gave up, that was me laying bricks for the life I'd promised her. A home of our own, money in the bank, maybe some travel down the line. She had a part-time gig at a boutique, just enough to pay for her own little luxuries. I took care of the big stuff, the rent on our nice apartment downtown, utilities, car note, groceries. That was my contribution, my investment in what we were building together. But looking back now, I see that she didn't treat it like teamwork. She treated it like entitlement. The cracks started showing in the little things. While I was burning the midnight oil on an urgent project, she'd be out with her friends knocking back cocktails. If I was too wiped out on a Saturday to hit up some fancy brunch spot, she'd act like I'd let her down. She didn't see my grind as something for both of us. To her, it was just a burden, something that got in the way. And the person who seemed to bother her most about my work schedule, that'd be Tyler. Tyler was her so-called work husband. She always said it with a smug little chuckle. He worked at a nearby store, and they'd take lunch breaks together. Then lunches got longer. Then came the after-work drinks. And before long, he was stopping by our place when I wasn't home. I didn't like it, but I'm not the kind of guy who lays down rules or throws out ultimatums. I just paid attention. Let people show me who they are. And last Wednesday, I got my answer clear as day. I was folding laundry when I spotted something in the back of her closet. It was a men's hoodie, dark gray, a brand I'd never wear, and definitely not one she'd buy for me. It was jammed behind her dresses like she'd tried to hide it. I picked it up. The faint smell of his cologne hit me. The same scent I'd noticed on her clothes after her late nights. I didn't blow up. I didn't feel angry exactly. It was something colder, heavier. It felt like realizing an investment had failed. I'd spent years of my life, energy, money, everything, on something that never had a solid foundation. The whole thing was cracked from the start. And you know what builders do with a structure like that? We tear it down before it comes crashing down on top of us. So I waited for her to come home. She walked in around 8, looking all cheerful and flushed from a long day of inventory. I was already sitting on the couch, holding the hoodie in my hands. "This was in the closet," I said, calm and steady. She stopped in her tracks. The smile disappeared. Her eyes locked onto the hoodie, and for a split second, I saw real panic. But just like always, she went straight to her go-to move. Dismiss it like it's no big deal. She rolled her eyes, like she couldn't believe I was even bringing it up. "Oh my God, seriously?" she snapped, yanking the hoodie from my hands. "It's Tyler's. He got cold the other night when he walked me home, so I gave him my jacket and he gave me that." "So what? You were working late anyway." That was the moment. Not the hoodie. Not the cologne. The way she said it, so casual, so entitled. She didn't see my long hours as commitment. They were just a convenient excuse for her to do what she wanted. I looked at her, chin high, not a hint of guilt. That's when the builder in me kicked in. When something's a total loss, you don't waste time trying to fix it. You cut your losses, tear it down, save what you can. "You're right," I said, voice low and even. "I do work late." Then I stood up, looked her dead in the eye. "I work late to build a life, not to watch you wreck it." I walked past her and headed straight into my office. She started shouting, Something about how I was controlling and jealous. I didn't hear most of it. I was already shutting the door. My thoughts were sharp. My path was clear. The demolition had started. She thought we were in the middle of a fight. She didn't realize I'd already begun drafting the blueprints for my next chapter. Update 1. The 2 days that followed were all business for me, laser-focused and quiet. Megan thought it was just another one of those tense standoffs. She assumed we'd sulk in silence for a bit, and then I'd eventually cave, like always. She even told her friends she was giving me space to cool off. But while she was out grabbing drinks and going about her day, I wasn't cooling off. I was executing a clean, calculated exit. No yelling, no drama, just planning. I wasn't coming from a place of heartbreak. I was thinking like an operator, looking at the logistics and the finances. The biggest thing tying us together? The apartment. It was a damn good spot. 2-bedroom, great location. But the lease? All in my name. I had the credit, the income. She was just listed as an occupant. That was my leverage. Thursday morning, first thing, I called the property management office. Sandra, the building manager, picked up. Tough, no-nonsense kind of woman. We'd always had a good working relationship. I paid my rent on time, never made a fuss. Professional and respectful. That goodwill was about to come in handy. I explained everything to Sandra in the most professional, calm way I could. Sandra, I said, my girlfriend and I are splitting up. I'll be moving out, but she's planning to stay. I need to know what steps we'd need to take to transfer the lease entirely into her name. Full legal and financial responsibility. Sandra was polite but didn't sugarcoat it. Well, Kevin, that's a tough one, she told me. She'd need to reapply by herself, and to be honest, based on the income she listed as an occupant, she won't qualify. Exactly the hurdle I expected. I get that, I said. But here's what I'm proposing. I'll pay the next 2 months of rent upfront right now. That gives her 60 days to either get her finances in order or find someone to split the cost. All I ask is that once she signs the lease transfer form, I'm off the hook. No legal or financial ties to the apartment. Effective immediately. She went quiet for a moment. I could hear her clicking away on her keyboard. That guaranteed 2 months' rent? That was my ace in the hole. No risk, no loss for the management company. You're serious? She asked. You'd really pay 2 full months? Even though you're not living there anymore? Just to take your name off the lease? Absolutely, I told her. Think of it like a severance package. Just get the paperwork ready. I'll take care of getting her signature. Sandra agreed without much hesitation after that. She said she'd have the lease transfer form ready for pickup the next day. At that point, the trap was set. While I waited for the paperwork to be ready, I got to work quietly pulling my life apart from hers. I went through all of our shared bank statements from the past year and ran the numbers. I built a spreadsheet not tracking her schedule but mapping out our money trail. It painted a very clear picture. I was covering more than 85% of our total living expenses. But that spreadsheet wasn't for her. It was for me. A cold, hard reminder of how deep I dug myself in and just how much I was about to crawl out of. Then I started packing, but only my stuff. No drama, no mess. I did it clean and careful. I bought sturdy boxes, decent tape, and started with my office. Packed up my books, files, computer gear. Then I moved to my clothes and personal belongings. I did it all while she was at work at the boutique. Box by box, I stacked everything neatly in the spare bedroom, tucked away and out of sight. Bit by bit, I was becoming a ghost in my own home. Friday rolled around. I swung by the office and picked up the lease transfer form from Sandra. It was a single page, nice and straightforward. It said that, as of the date it was signed, I, Daniel Brooks, was officially released from all responsibility tied to Apartment 4B. Haley Grant would take full ownership of the lease, financial and otherwise, for the rest of the term. The trick was not to present it as a breakup move, but just another piece of dry, boring admin work. That night, my opportunity showed up. Megan was still pretending we were just cooling off. She was in the bedroom, getting dolled up to head out with her friends. I walked into the living room, lease in hand, and a pen ready to go. I put on a tired, no-fight-left expression. Hey, I said, look, I know things are weird right now, but the leasing office sent over the usual renewal paperwork. They want it back by Monday. Can you just sign this real quick so I can drop it off? She narrowed her eyes at the form. A renewal already? It's not the full thing. I lied, calm as could be. It's just the first part, the intent to renew. Totally routine. You just need to sign here since you're still listed on the lease. She was distracted, focused on her outfit, her night out, anything but paperwork. She didn't want to slow down to read anything. She just wanted me out of the way. She grabbed the pen, gave the form a quick glance without actually reading it, and scribbled her name at the bottom. She handed it back with an eye roll. There. You happy now? Thrilled, I said, barely above a whisper. I kept my face blank. I took the signed form, walked to my office, and immediately scanned and emailed it straight to Sandra. And just like that, the trap had snapped shut. Without even realizing it, she had just signed herself into full legal and financial responsibility for the apartment. Update 2. Saturday was the day everything came to a head. I'd scheduled a small moving truck to show up right at noon. Megan had made brunch plans with her friends, probably another round of complaints about her overly serious boyfriend. That timing worked out just right. That morning, I hauled my packed boxes from the guest room into the living room. Everything I owned was lined up and ready for a clean exit. I took down the personal touches, photos, posters, the few pieces of art that meant something to me. The place stopped feeling like a home. It looked more like a hotel room I was checking out of. The movers were on time and efficient. Within an hour, they had my life loaded into the back of the truck. I did one final walkthrough of the apartment. Everything left behind belonged to her. The furniture we'd picked out together, the kitchen tools, the TV, the mountain of clothes and shoes she always left everywhere. I didn't take any of it. Leaving all that behind was the cost of my freedom, and I paid it gladly. Just as the movers were closing up the truck, I saw her car pull into the lot. She stepped out, laughing into her phone. Then she saw the truck, and just like that, the laughter stopped. She spotted me standing by the back of it, and her face twisted. Confusion first, then anger. She hung up and stormed over. "What is this?" she snapped. "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm moving out," I said, plain and simple. "You're moving out?" she repeated, her voice swinging between disbelief and flat-out anger. "Just like that? You're seriously walking away? Over a stupid hoodie?" "It was never just about the hoodie, Megan," I said, steady and calm. "That hoodie was just the last puzzle piece. The final confirmation in a long line of little signs. Proof that while I was out there grinding to build something real for us, you were busy entertaining someone else like it meant nothing. I told you, he's just a friend." She shot back, her voice climbing. "You're making way too big a deal out of this." "Am I?" I asked, deadpan. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was a copy of the lease transfer addendum with her signature on it. I handed it to her without saying a word. "I don't think I'm overreacting," I said. "In fact, I'd say this is the most rational move I've made in years." She unfolded the paper and read the top line. Her eyes widened. She read it again, slower this time, lips moving silently as if her brain was trying to catch up. She looked up at me, completely shaken. I could see it, pure confusion mixed with rising panic. What is this?" she whispered. "Lease transfer. Full responsibility. What does that mean?" "It means exactly what it says," I replied, my tone flat, emotionless. "You signed this yesterday. You're now the only one legally and financially responsible for this apartment. That includes the rent, the utilities, everything. It's all yours now. Congratulations." She shook her head like a kid refusing to accept bedtime. No, I didn't agree to this. You tricked me. I gave you a legal document, Megan. You signed it of your own free will," I said, standing my ground. "Same way you gave me a relationship I believed in. I signed on thinking you were in it with me. Looks like we both skipped reading the fine print." I gestured toward the apartment building behind us. "This place, this life, you loved it, but it wasn't free. I've been footing the bill this whole time. Now it's your turn." I walked over to the moving truck. I had saved one last box to load myself. My most personal stuff. Documents, letters, a few small things that actually meant something. I picked it up and turned back to her. "Yeah," I said, almost to myself. "I work late to build a life. not to stand around while you burn it down. She didn't reply. She couldn't. She just stood there, clutching that piece of paper like it had weight because now it did. Her face was pale, her mouth slightly open, eyes wide like someone just pulled the rug out from under her. No laughter, no eye roll, just silence. I turned away, placed my last box in the truck, and shut the door behind me. Then I climbed into the driver's seat and pulled away. Never looked back once. The demolition was done. Final update. It's been 6 months. The dust has settled. The new life I started that day is solid, simple, peaceful, and most importantly, mine. As for Megan, from what I've heard, her world fell apart the minute I drove off. First came the rent. She had 2 months prepaid courtesy of me. She assumed, foolishly, that she could call Sandra, cry a little, and get out of the lease, like she always had a way of getting what she wanted. But Sandra doesn't play games. She told Megan the lease was airtight. No loopholes. The full rent would be due on time, starting the very next month. Problem was, Megan's boutique job didn't even come close to covering that kind of expense. She was used to me covering everything. She couldn't even make the car payment, let alone rent, utilities, groceries. She scrambled to find a roommate, but she didn't give herself enough time. And, let's be honest, her track record didn't exactly scream ideal living situation. She even tried roping in Tyler, the work husband. Apparently that didn't go well. A mutual friend said when she came to him, all panicked and desperate, he freaked out. He liked the flirting, the drama, the free ride. He wasn't signing up to play house or pay bills. As soon as she brought up rent, he ghosted her, blocked her number, vanished like he was never even there. So when the rent came due after those 2 months I covered, she didn't have it. The property management didn't waste time. They started eviction proceedings immediately. Now she's got a formal eviction on her record. Good luck renting anywhere nice after that. She ended up moving back in with her parents. The furniture we picked out together, the stuff I left behind on purpose, had to be sold for dirt cheap or shoved into a storage unit her folks paid for. She lost it all. The apartment, the side piece, the cushy lifestyle she never once helped build. And in the end, all she was left with were the consequences of her own decisions. As for me, I moved into a modest 1-bedroom. Small, quiet, nothing fancy, but it's mine. And without someone draining my bank account while offering nothing in return, my finances have taken off. I'm back on track, ahead of schedule actually, to buy my first house. Turns out, when you stop supporting someone who's dead weight, your entire life lightens up. What I did wasn't about a hoodie. Hell, it wasn't even really about the cheating. It was about respect. I gave everything, my time, my energy, my money, to build something for both of us. And she treated that effort like it was her entitlement. Like my sacrifice was her excuse to do whatever she wanted. Well, I took that same work ethic she mocked, and I used it to walk away clean. No screaming. No revenge. No destroyed property or messy blow-ups. Just a signed document. I handed her the life she enjoyed so much, along with the bill she never thought she'd have to pay. She rolled her eyes at my concerns. So I rolled out of her life with a plan, with purpose, and with peace. And in the end, she had nothing left to say, because when the plan is solid, when the exit is clean, and when every step is intentional, there's no argument to be made. She signed for the consequence.